Hello and welcome back to Pumpster FM. It's been a while, but we're back. And much like being away for a while, the Euros went away for a year with obviously the situation that happened. We're back now though, we know our 24. We're going to whittle it all the way down to number 1. Who's going to win the Euros? My initial prediction, over a week out, all the squads are in. I'll run you through some big dark horses in this, and obviously your favourites, and I'll run you through who's going to do well and who I think is probably going to have a tough tournament. But we'll get right into it, right after this. Well, here we are then. As you can see, my initial predictions are up on screen right now, all the way from Group A to Group F. This is the order as well. There are a couple of surprises, I'm well aware. I will run you through them as we go. It's my initial feeling, looking at squads, looking at how teams are playing. This is just my feeling on how these teams are going to do. We're going to start at Group A. Logically, that's how the alphabet works. Group A, as you can see, top there, Turkey, followed by Italy, and Switzerland finished third. I will show you my wildcards, my 4 best placed teams. I'll show you those right after we get the groups done first though. But I think Italy are very good, but they feel like they're between a generation, that they're not sure what their identity is quite yet. They've been very good in qualifying. I mean, they've been unbeaten for years, which is, unfortunately in some qualifying groups that is quite easy to do. But I think for Italy, they look very good, but I just feel like Turkey have an upset in them. They beat France in qualifying. A lot of talent there, a good defensive core actually for the Turkish. You've got Kabak, you've got Soyuncu. I'm quietly excited to watch them. Going forwards, their issue, I think Cenk Tosun is injured, and Burak Yilmaz is 35 now, so he's getting on in years, but he's done the absolute business for Lille, and it would not surprise me if he had one more tournament in him. As for third, Switzerland just have that little bit more talent than Wales, and I feel like against each other, Switzerland are more likely to come out on top. But to be honest, that third and fourth place is very interchangeable in Group A. Wales have actually got quite a good chance of qualifying. So yeah, in Group A, Turkey first, Italy second, Switzerland in third. I feel like that will all be dependent on the very first game of the Euros will be very dependent on how it goes from there. Moving on now though to Group B. There I've put Belgium on top. Elite talent through that team. I think they could make a deep run, or they'll go out in the first knockout round. It's one of those teams. They are very much like England in a way, as you can tell from the accent, English. It's very much anyone's game beyond them. I think someone like Finland could surprise if they can get a result against Russia. I think it will be a case of who can beat who out of that other 3. Belgium I could see getting all 9 points, but then Denmark. A lot of good players. You've got players in there that have had good seasons. Andreas Christensen won the Champions League with Chelsea. Kasper Schmeichel won the FA Cup. Christian Eriksen won the Serie A with Inter Milan. Whether he was a key player or not, different question. But more specifically, that squad, it looks really good. I think they've got a little bit more star power than Russia, who their power comes from something else. They're just well organised, Russia. They've got a little bit of talent that can go a little bit further. Finland have got Teemu Pukki, and I'm all here for the Pukki party. That's what I'm here for. If they can get through, I would love it. But I think they just lack that little bit in comparison to the likes of the Russians and Danes. So in that group, Belgium first, Denmark in second, with Russia in third. I think that's pretty good. I think I'm going to be safe there. Group C, top of that one as well, I've gone for star power. The Netherlands to be top. Missing Virgil van Dijk would be a miss for practically any team on the planet. I mean, it kind of derailed Liverpool's season, among other injuries. So him missing for this tournament, I think, is a big miss for the Dutch. But I think beyond that, there's a lot of talent there. I mean, you feel like they're coming through with another generation, or at least I do. I feel like they're building something bigger now. Frank de Boer's had a good job since coming in. I mean, he's had to steady the ship a little bit after they lost Koeman to Barcelona. I like what they're doing. There's a lot of good young talent in terms of that squad as well, but a lot of older heads, some more experienced players in there as well. It's a nice mix. It feels like a nice mix for the Netherlands. And I think they can win that group quite easily if they beat the likes of North Macedonia. Maybe they'll have to get settled for a point against someone like Austria, but there's a lot of talent there, and they've got a system that works, and they've had time to build it as well. In second, Austria. I just feel the likes of David Alaba, you're just going to have that little bit more, that little bit of an edge over Ukraine. I can see Austria finishing second. It's not a lot to be said really looking through these sides. There's a little bit of a lack of the real star power. Beyond that, I mean, North Macedonia, their first qualification, it's wonderful to see them there. I'm sure they'll have a good time. I could see them nicking 3 points off someone. The sort of team led by Goran Pandev that are going to, bring sort of hard fought, a little bit like Albania in 2016, that they were really hard to beat, really hard to break down, and that helped them to an extent, but I feel like they maybe lack that cutting edge, that maybe that next level. A go-around Panda over 10 years ago, you'd go, okay, I think North Macedonia could maybe nick into third, maybe even pinch second if they can get 2 good results. But I think it's probably looking unlikely for them. So yeah, in Group C, we go for Netherlands in first, Austria second, Ukraine in third. I'm pretty happy with that one. I think second and third is a little bit interchangeable, but I'm pretty happy with where that sits. Group D, now this is where I'm going to get some stick. I can feel it. I can feel the heat already. I can feel it all. You're saying, why are Croatia in fourth? What the hell are you doing? You're an absolute moron. And I might be an absolute moron if they beat England in the first game. And I think that's what it'll come down to. If it ends up being like a 0-0 draw, and England are very good at that. Getting draws early on in 2012. We drew with France very early on. And then it kind of, our group stage, we got a little win and it was kind of ease our way through. This time though, I feel like England have a point to prove, and it's a young squad that have an awful lot of talent. There are lots and lots of match winners in that team. You compare that England squad to that Croatia squad, it's not the way it was 3 years ago. It is not. England have been absolutely blessed with another year. Someone like Jude Bellingham would not have got in the squad a year ago, but now he's in the squad, and it's hard to say he doesn't deserve to start if Jordan Henderson isn't available. You've got Jadon Sancho, you've got Raheem Sterling, whose form might be tough, but he's the sort of player that might win you a game. Marcus Rashford, Harry Kane, for goodness sake, the captain. I think there is lots of talent there, lots of match winners. I could see England going deep in this tournament, and you'll see in my predictions, maybe they do. Second place now, though, the Czech Republic. Now, hear me out. The Czech Republic, you look at their squad, the easy ones, this is the low-hanging fruit when people talk about the Czech Republic team, but you look at Tomáš Souček, you look at Vladimír Koufal, players that have had very good seasons, but there's a lot of talent in that Czech Republic team. The team that I go to actually specifically about this is Slavia Prague. And you look at some of their best players, Mazepust, you've got players like that, you've got other players. They had a very good run, and I feel like a lot of that positive energy is going to come across the national team. There's a lot of players that will translate across, and then you've got that little bit of talent from the Premier League coming in to help. I think the Czech Republic are very, very well set to come second in this group. They're my tip for a dark horse, actually. Czech Republic, I could see them going deep. I could see them going the sort of team that will get to a quarter-final or even a semi-final, because their draw will help. Finishing second in this group is actually a blessing. You'll see that when we get to the knockouts. Then in third, Scotland. Now Scotland, I think, are really, really good. The place they will suffer will be not having an elite forward, or at least having a very, very good forward. Che Adams is a great addition to that squad. Having someone like him, I think, will help. But I think they're very solid. They're very solid in defence. You saw the way when they beat Serbia, the way they reacted. This is everything to them. It's like Wales in 2016. Scotland are going to have everything to play for, and they've got nothing to lose, because they haven't qualified for one of these in over 20 years. Having the likes of Kieran Tierney, having Andy Robertson, having John McGinn, there is talent in that squad, and you've just got to hope that Steve Clarke can get it going. I can see them nicking a win against Croatia or Czech Republic or even England. I can see them getting a win off someone, and that's all you're going to need. If Croatia have a bad start, they're going to crumble, and getting on to Croatia, it's an old squad. Even the older players they had, Daniel Subasic is gone. Mario Mandzukic is gone. You called him Daniel, let's not get that wrong. Losing those older players, those players that were key, really, really key performers for them. Subasic has been replaced by Dominik Livakovic. I think they'll be fine there. I can't see that being necessarily a big issue in goal, but it feels like there is so much responsibility on Luka Modric after losing someone like Ivan Rakitic. I know Mateo Kovacic is fantastic, but for me, losing someone like Rakitic that Modric used to play with, they had a great understanding. Modric has a lot of responsibility in that midfield. He always has. He's always done it well. But I just worry, in this group, you've got really actually strong midfields in all of these teams. England's is the one actually. If they can have Jordan Henderson fully fit, Declan Rice, Jordan Henderson, Mason Mount, Phil Foden will get in amongst that Croatian midfield. I think they'd be fine. I think I can see England winning that first game. Czech Republic, you've got Tomáš Souček, who's going to really put himself about in that midfield. I can see Tomáš Souček being given the job of shutting down Luka Modric. Maybe that means moving him slightly further forward up the pitch to go with Luka Modric when he drops deeper for the ball. And yeah, I think Croatia are going to struggle. They're going to struggle. They're not at the level they were 3 years ago when they got to the World Cup final. And there is always a team in an elite competition like this that just struggles. And Croatia, I can see being the one. I look forward to looking back at this when they win the group. But I can see Croatia being the ones to really have a tough tournament. Group E, a little bit more of a formality over here. The only issue I'm seeing really is third place and second place. Spain, they're coming together. I worry that maybe they haven't got the elite talent that they had 10 years ago when they were the preeminent force in all of world football. But the way they play, the level of player they have, as a Brighton fan, it'd be great to see Rob Sanchez start if you could do that. Luis Enrique, who, to be honest, Enrique is probably the reason that they'll do so well. He's very good at organising them. He's very good at getting the results he needs to get. Getting a couple of wins and maybe a draw or even a loss, I think they'll be fine. They'll win the group. Then beyond that, Poland, you've got Robert Lewandowski. That's my difference between them and Sweden. Robert Lewandowski is amazing for them, and having an elite striker, he's probably the best striker in the tournament. Having him, I think, makes the world of difference for any team. But for Poland, it's that little bit of star power that's going to knock the likes of Slovakia and Sweden out. And maybe even Spain. I can see him being the sort of striker that will drag you through, a bit like when Cristiano Ronaldo dragged Portugal through that game at the World Cup. It will be Robert Lewandowski, feed that ball to him, get him in the right positions, he'll create a lot himself. You've got the likes of Arkadiusz Milik, you've got the likes of, again, Brighton fans, this is one of the name I know it, Jakub Moder. You've got players, young players around him as well, that are going to help, and that's what they need to do. Just feed Lewandowski and you'll be fine. Probably going to be his last Euros, it might not be his last competition if they get to the World Cup. Then in third, Sweden. I do like Sweden. There's a lot of young talent to like there. Losing Ibrahimovic after he'd come out of retirement was a bit of a circus for them. But having the likes of Alexander Isak, beyond that you've got... I didn't write a whole load of names down, but yeah, Sweden have a good young core. Emil Forsberg is going to be good in their midfield for them. Look out for Sweden. I think them and Poland will have a bit of a... The way I expect them to go, they'll beat Slovakia, draw with Poland and lose to Spain is how I see it. And then Poland will have a better result against someone else. First and second might be closer than I'm maybe saying it now. But yeah, in that group I'm pretty happy. Slovakia as well, they just lack the players they had a few years ago. I'm sure they'll be fine. Having someone like Marek Hamsik is going to make a big deal for them, but they're always pretty solid. I can't see them being any more than that though. Maybe pinching a point off someone will be there. It'll be a good tournament for them. Group F. Now this is the group of death. It's probably the better way of putting it. France, Germany, Portugal, Hungary. Hungary, I am sorry. It's not going to go well for you. Having Galashi in goal, it's going to help. The goalkeeper's had a good season with Leipzig. And having someone like Dominik Szoboszlai, his teammate, in midfield, is going to help as well. Although I think he might be injured. I haven't double-checked that. But I'll put a correction in underneath my underneath what I've said there. If he is injured, I will correct it. But yeah, so top, I think France, I mean, come on. France are the ones to beat. They are... It's like when Barcelona were under Pep. It was that sort of, they are the scalp. If you can beat them, you're on for the tournament. Like, you are considered the next in line. France have so much elite talent. That 2018 team hasn't really lost a lot. You've lost Blaise Matuidi. Maybe some of the players that were great there haven't had a great time since, but you've got N'Golo Kante. You've got Kylian Mbappe, who's had years to mature. You've got Antoine Griezmann. You've got that core of that team. The only place they can be got at, I feel like, is down those fullback positions. Ben Pavard is very good at right back, but is he an elite right back? Is he going to be able to handle... I mean, look, Germany, Sane, is he going to be able to handle a Cristiano Ronaldo or Diogo Jota? This is where my concern comes for France, but I think that is very much. Get a couple of good results on the board, rotate that squad, get yourself to the knockouts. The job's a good one for France. Now behind them, it's going to be Jogi Löw's last tournament with Germany before Hansi Flick takes over. I mean, they're a good squad. Germany are always good. This is the thing. Between them and Portugal, it's going to be a shootout. It's going to be a case of whoever wants to come second will come second because they won that game, effectively. Hungary, unfortunately, I think they're going to get 0 points. We can touch on that now. So everyone will finish on 3 above that, which pretty much guarantees you're one of the best third place teams, because there's always someone that finishes on like 1 point or 2 points. In third, it might not be. I mean, this has been a funny year. I can't predict that to that level. But I think Portugal have a great squad, but it feels like, again, a bit like the Italians. They're a little bit between generations. They won the last Euros. They'll get through here. Spoiler alert for my third place teams. But Germany, I just feel like have a little bit more of a well-rounded squad, I think, than Portugal. But they could factor deceive. I think they could. But Jogi Löw's going to want to prove a point before he heads out the door. So for me, Germany second, Portugal third. And that rounds out my groups pretty quickly. We're going to get straight on now to the knockout stages. Before we get to the knockout stages, I realise I forgot to pick my third place teams. So to summarise, I think Portugal get through third. They'll be fine in that group. Sweden, I think Sweden will be fine. I can see them beating Slovakia, finish on 4 points if they draw with Poland. Scotland, it's tough. It is tough because they're going to need to win a game, and it's a tough group. It's not easy there. I'm probably going to go with Russia because I think Russia will probably beat Finland. And then I'm thinking Ukraine. I'm going to be honest because I feel like Scotland might finish these two. So Scotland and Croatia will lose 2 games and draw a game, is what I'm thinking, is what I'm feeling. So 1 point each. Then the top 2 will finish on potentially 7 or 9 points, depending on how they get points against each other. I can see Scotland fighting for a point against Croatia. I definitely can see that happening. So let's head on then. So it's going to be Russia, Ukraine. Ukraine, I think, will get through that group because they'll beat North Macedonia. And then Sweden and Portugal. I think Sweden will beat Slovakia, and I think Portugal will beat Hungary. I think that'll be how that works. Switzerland, I think, will end up drawing Wales. I don't know necessarily if they'll beat Wales. And I think that's where the difference comes, is whether you beat that 4th place team. Okay, so moving on. Let's get to the knockouts. Hopefully I haven't got anything else. I shall see you for the knockouts. Right, so here we are for those knockout predictions. So if we have a look through, actually we'll do it as we go. Belgium v Portugal. Wow. This is big for lots of players in these squads. Because if you're looking at Cristiano Ronaldo, this is his last Euros. This will be his last Euros. I'm pretty certain this will be his last Euros. And I think for me, I think they're a better squad than Belgium. I think Belgium have a lot of talent, but there's match winners in that Portugal team. I mean, Belgium have Romelu Lukaku, I didn't mention in my group stage preview. They have Eden Hazard. They have Kevin De Bruyne. Is he going to be fit after that? I mean, devastating injury he got in the Champions League final. It's really tough because Portugal, like I say, they have Ronaldo, they have Jota, they have Bruno Fernandes, who I'm counting out here, but I think he could do a good job against De Bruyne. This would be my, let's have a look. Oh no, it wouldn't be my tie of the round. I've just looked down and see what the other ties are. No, there's a different tie that's going to be tie of the round. For me, I think it's probably going to be Portugal. Belgium are good, but like I said, they're one of those teams that if they'd have won here, they'd get to the semi-final. That's how I feel with them. And I think that's what it'll be. Here, Turkey. This is what I said, quarter-final team. Last 8 for them is a fantastic result. To get to this point, to beat Austria, I think they've just got that a little bit more. They're very solid. It depends. Austria needs someone to come out of the woodwork, I think, to really get them past Turkey. And then moving down, France, Russia, France. Come on. France will eat that for breakfast. Not a problem for them. Now, Poland versus the Czech Republic is an interesting game. It's an interesting game in the first knockout round because really they're kind of polar opposites. Poland don't have that really, really solid defence that they had maybe 5 to 10 years ago. But the Czech Republic do. But the Czech Republic don't have Robert Lewandowski, who I feel like could just be the difference in this game. It's the sort of type that could go to penalties. I think if someone like Tomas Souček has a fantastic game, I keep using his name, but I think he is really the core and the hub of that Czech Republic side. So for me, I'm going to go for Poland. I just think Robert Lewandowski is a match winner. I think he's a match winner for them. Spain versus Ukraine. Do you know what? It feels like an upset. It feels like an upset waiting to happen. But I'm not sure Ukraine have that in their squad anymore. So I'm probably going to go for Spain here. Now. This is going to be a case of England coming to settle some demons. They beat Colombia in the first knockout round of the World Cup to settle the penalty shootout demons. This is, I mean, the nation of England's going to be on. It's going to be on another level if we end up drawing Germany. And to be honest, I think they'll do it. I think England will do it. They're just, the squad's balanced out. Germany is at the end of a cycle. They've got some great young players. I think the likes of Kai Havertz, the likes of Leroy Sané. I mean, Timo Werner. The issue for them, it's an identity problem, is that Jurgen Löw is very much a man who likes his favourites. A little bit like Gareth Southgate, actually. They're quite similar. They have their ways of playing. They have their players that they trust. The reason that someone like Kieran Trippier has a great season in La Liga, but maybe doesn't have the season other players do and gets in the squad, is because someone like Gareth Southgate can trust him. He knows that he can get what he needs out of a Kieran Trippier. So for me, though, England, like I said in the group stages, have so many match winners. If it's not Harry Kane, it could be Marcus Rashford. If it's not Marcus Rashford, it could be Jadon Sancho. If it's not Jadon Sancho, it could be Raheem Sterling. If it's none of them, it could be Phil Foden. It could be Calvert-Lewin off of the bench. There is talent in that squad. Jack Grealish, I didn't mention in that. All match winners. Germany don't have that depth. Not yet, maybe in a few years. The next Euros, even the World Cup, we could be taking a very different stance on it. But for me, England win their big game. It is the big game, and I think the confidence from that is going to be huge, and we will get to that in the quarterfinals. Next up, the Netherlands for me. I just think they've got a lot of talent. I think that will bring them through. That elite talent will bring them through. The likes of Frenkie de Jong, Matthijs de Ligt. It's going to be fine for them. Having someone like Memphis Depay, I think he's going to have a big tournament. I could see him being someone that could win the Golden Boot, given their group. And then the first knockout game, I'm going to go with Italy. I'm going to go with Italy. Denmark are good. Denmark are the sort of team that will take them the distance. But for me, this will be where Italy start to realise who they really are. The group stages may have been tough for them. But it'll be the sort of time where they can work out, okay, we're Italy. We're Italy, for goodness sake. Let's get through. And I think that'll be what happens. Someone like Ciro Immobile can win that game for them. And then having Verratti feeding balls in there, Insigne, I think they'll be fine. So, quarterfinal stage, Portugal versus Turkey. Now, I'm going to go dramatic. Turkey are my dark horses. They're my dark horses. The sort of team that someone we don't realise will light it up for them. Someone like that, and this is, they might not necessarily get past the semi-final, but they're the sort of team that could get there. The sort of team that could beat an Austria, get through in their group, upset Italy in the group stages, and they'll work out who they are. They'll be well drilled. Their manager now is the same manager they had. Is it Senol Gunes? I think is his name. Got them to third. Ironically, got them to third place in the World Cup in 2002. He knows what he's doing. He's a seasoned veteran. Will get them well drilled. There's a lot of talent there. There'll be a few players coming out of the woodwork that will be wanted by big clubs. And I can see Turkey upsetting the apple cart and beating Portugal. I feel the need to do it, and I think my instinct is to say Turkey will do it. I think if Belgium were to get to the quarterfinals, Belgium would win. But Portugal, there's a little bit of unbalance in that squad. If you look at Ruben Diaz at the back, he's very good. Rui Patricio has his issues in goal, though. I just feel like Turkey might have it about them to sort of win I can see that being quite an aggressive game, a little bit like when Portugal played Holland in 2006. The Netherlands in 2006. It was quite an aggressive game. I think they'll struggle against Turkey. I really do think they do. Here, Poland, I mean, they will have scrapped their way against Czech Republic. France, I'm sorry. France are, like I say, the preeminent force. They're the team that really you don't want to be on the same side of the draw as. France, they've done the business. They've done the business. And they get themselves to the semi-finals. Now, this side of the draw is very, very tasty. For me, I'm going to go quickly on this one because I think England, they'll be bouncing. They'll be absolutely bouncing. And this game here, Spain are a very good footballing side and can raise their level at any moment. But I feel like England again. This is the time where England realise, oh, we're an elite footballing team here. Beyond everything else, that's funny. And you can accuse me of bias here. This is going to be a close game. Spain have talent, but they don't have the talent they had 10 years ago. There isn't a Xavi and Iniesta. Sergio Ramos is missing from this team. That's a big hit for anyone. Like the Netherlands losing Virgil van Dijk, who will get onto the Netherlands again here. For me, England win that one. A little bit of a dramatic suggestion, I think. But England to beat Germany, confidence is going to be high. Spain haven't really had a challenge to this point. I think they're going to lose there. Now, Netherlands versus Italy. Two teams that are actually very similar. I've talked about both being maybe... I think Italy... They're kind of on the same point in their trajectory that when you're an elite footballing nation, you go for these points where if you imagine a graph, they're both sort of in the middle of the rise, or at the beginning of the rise. So they've had those times where they didn't qualify for a tournament, and now they're coming back up again, and they're at the same sort of point. They've got that young talent that probably in the next tournament or the tournament after that will really take them to the next level. But it's about whether these managers can do the job, and for me, I'm gonna pick it based on the manager that I feel the most confident in. I'm gonna have to go with Italy. It's so tough. I think if the Netherlands had Virgil van Dijk sign the check, it's going to be the Netherlands, but they don't. They don't have Virgil van Dijk, and Matthijs de Ligt is very good, and he'll be well aware of what he's facing against the Italian side. I don't think enough. I don't think he'll be aware enough, and for me, there's a few holes in that Netherlands side. Italy also have their issues, but Ciro Immobile, like I said, against Denmark, they'll get through there. I tell you what, these are some interesting semi-finals. I think this would be our last four. There are some big teams that have fallen here. So, semi-finals, I'm going to have to go with France. Turkey, like I say, will fight hard here. It's a little bit like when Belgium got to the semi-finals. Actually, less so, because Belgium went to play football and Turkey won't. Turkey will go there and they'll say, look, we're going to set our shop out. A little bit like David Moyes' West Ham, actually. I see similarities between the two. Where it's, okay, we're going to set our line up here. We're going to set our line up just ahead of that. Break us down. Come play football. Try and get through this. And then maybe they looked at it on the counter. And I can see them nicking it. But for me, I'm not sure it'll be enough. I think France have just got too much talent. It's a sort of game where PSG have been guilty of it in the past when they played Atalanta last year in the semi-final of the Champions League. A little bit of a deep cut there, but they had just enough talent to get them through that game. And I think France have got more than enough talent to get them through this one. They get to the final and they haven't really had to get out of third gear, I don't think. Maybe this is the game where they have to really step up. They haven't played an elite side. Other than the group stages, they haven't played an elite side. Now, this is where I think we have to take into account where this game's being played. The semi-finals are all at Wembley. Now, for me, the pure emotion will get England through, I think, in this one. I think if Harry Kane can really take off, if Gareth Southgate is a little bit more adventurous, I can see them really doing well here. The Italians will go, I think, a little bit more like the 2012 quarterfinal, I think it was. I think it went straight into the quarterfinal this year, those years. Where they'll go and set up their store, play some nice football, nothing particularly adventurous. They'll look to hold out and nick a win and be very Italian in their style of football. Even though they're a little bit more adventurous under Mancini. Again, I think it just comes down to the fact that the way England are going to be got at is the fact that if Gareth Southgate does go with that 5 at the back and then 2 ahead of them, they'll be got at that way, I think, because you're asking an awful lot of Jordan Henderson, who hasn't played a lot of football, really any football for months, and Declan Rice, who has had a fantastic season, him and Souček together. And I think having Henderson there actually is a bit of a parallel of Souček, which is nice. Not quite the same physical abilities, but regardless, I think it really does depend on how aggressive England are. Really does depend on how aggressive England are. But yeah, I'll let it out. So we get to the final. I really tell you what, the final, I would absolutely kill for this. On the 11th of July, France versus England in the final at Wembley, sunny Wembley. The fans are absolutely buzzing. It's the end of a tough year for both countries. I mean, every country's had a tough year. But I just feel like this is the tournament England lose before they go to the World Cup and win it. Is my real how it feels. This is the game where Liverpool lose to Real Madrid in the Champions League final. I know I'm using club, but I think these players have all been there. The game that Liverpool lose to Real Madrid and then go back and beat Tottenham a year later. I think England lose to France. They come back a year later and they want to prove a point. People are going to get punished at that World Cup. Absolutely on their way to winning something. But France, for me, there's a lot of talent there. You're asking an awful lot of John Stones, Harry Maguire, Kyle Walker to absolutely handle Kylian Mbappe. I think he'll have player of the tournament again, like he did at the World Cup. Because for him, it's about upping that level again. He's a big game player. He is the ultimate big game player. So for me, my Euro winners 2020, France to beat England. I'm not going to give scores because I think that'd be ridiculous. France to beat England. I'll take a screenshot of this and I'll have it up so you can see it. But yeah, let me know your predictions, because for me, this could go any way. The Euros can go any way. The fact that someone like Turkey got through my predictions all the way to the semi-final is mad. But crazier things have happened, and who knows? Maybe a team like that could get all the way to the final. Greece did it in 2004. They won the whole thing. So keep your eyes out. There could be some dark horses going on. I'm going to do a little bit more of this Euro stuff. I've got some sort of young players, some wonder kids to look out for, because I'm going to get the FM content in there. But if you want to see more, hit that sub button, hit that like button to get this. That'd be great. Thank you very much. And yeah, have a good Euros. Enjoy it. Forza football. See you soon.